What's up, guys? This is the UDPOWER S1200 portable power station. I wanted to give you guys a full complete breakdown of some of the features that this thing has. I'll run some tests for you guys so you can see what it can power, and then I'll just give you guys my review at the end. So let's get in the video. All right, so here it is up close so you guys can see it. This is a 1190 watt portable power station. It has an LFP battery, lithium iron phosphate, which is awesome because, you know, LFP batteries are some of the most reliable and safe batteries out there, and it has a rating up to 4,000 plus battery life cycles. So it should be able to last a long time, up to 10 years to degrade down to 80%. So if you were to use this thing every single day, it'd be able to last 10 years, which most of us aren't going to be using it every day, so it should be able to last a lot longer than that. And 4,000 plus cycles is pretty awesome. Right here you can see we have 5 3-prong AC outlets. I do like that they're all 3 prongs just because it allows you to power a larger variety of things. A lot of power stations only have like 2 3-prong outlets and maybe 2 2-prong outlets. This has all 5 3-prong outlets, which is pretty nice. It has a max AC output of 1200 watts and it can surge up to 1800 watts, which is pretty good. That's not, the highest in the industry, but it is nice to where it's going to be able to power a lot of the basic items in your house, like refrigerators, TVs, things like that. Definitely, your more portable items like laptops and stuff like that. And then up here you have 4 USB-A's and you have 200 watt USB-C's. I do like that both of these are 100 watts because it's going to allow you to fast charge, your computers and phones and things like that. And then over here you have your solar DC in. So this is where you're going to be able to plug your solar panels in. You can charge this thing up either solar panels with an outlet or your car. And over here you actually have your DC output, 12 volt, 10 amp output. So you can use car charging plugs and things like that to charge your devices as well, which is pretty cool. All right, and then up here you actually have some cool features which a lot of power stations don't have. Actually, I haven't really seen these on any power station, which is cool. You have normal and eco mode, which basically this allows you to adjust, how long you want your power system to stay on in standby mode. So if you're not using this, or it's like overnight, if you put it on eco mode, the lights and everything will shut off and it'll use less power when it's not on. So it'll basically be able to last a lot longer when you're not using it, or you can do normal mode and it'll keep the screen on for longer and stuff like that if you don't really care about that. I usually pretty much always have it on eco mode, just because it's nice to be able to last longer. And then over here you actually have optimized and fast charging mode, and this is a really cool feature actually, which I actually have seen other power stations have this, but basically what this does is, it's good to charge your battery on optimized mode, just because that's going to be better for the longevity of your battery. It's not going to degrade it as much. Or what you can do is you can actually put it to fast charging mode, and it's basically going to have a higher wattage of input to be able to charge your battery a lot faster, when you're charging it up. But it's not as good for your battery. So when you are on fast charging mode, it's going to take about 1.5 hours to charge this thing up to 100% battery when you're charging it into the wall, like in a wall outlet. And when you're on optimized mode, it's going to be about double that time, maybe a little bit more. And so it is nice that it gives you that option. If you want to charge it faster or slower, you want to preserve the battery a little more, you can do that. And then one more thing, up here you also have a light, which is pretty cool. So you just click this button right here and the light turns on. If you click it again, it'll get a little bit brighter. If you click it again, it'll get a little bit brighter, and then if you click it again, it'll turn off. So it has three different brightness modes, and that's pretty awesome if you were camping with this thing, and it was nighttime and you wanted to see the outlets and things like that. You could just turn that on, you'd be able to better see it, which is really cool. Or just at your campsite, you have a little kind of lantern, which is pretty awesome. Over here on the screen as well, you have some different metrics that you can see. So right here, these buttons right here, this is how you turn on the DC power and the AC power. So once you click that, a little light will pop up, and then you can start using this. And as you can see, that little icon popped up as well to show that there's output being put out, if you plug something in here. But on here, as you can see, it shows you your battery level percentage. So right now it's at 92%, and then it shows your output. Once you plug something in, it'll adjust, and then it shows your input as well. It'll show you how long it'll take to charge, and it'll show you, how long you have to charge that specific device that's being plugged in. And I do like that it's actually split up like this on either side. I think that is a nice feature of the screen. That you have your output on one side, input on one side. That way, you really know the difference, stuff like that. And then going over here on the top, you actually have a 15 watt fast charging mat right here. So you can actually put your phone on there and charge it, which is a pretty cool feature as well. Now I just wanted to show you guys this wireless charging pad so you can see it works. So I'm going to put my phone on it right now, and let's see what happens. There we go. All right, it's charging. So it took a second. You got to put it in the right spot. And it looks like right now it says 4 watts. It should go up to about 14 watts though, like I said. So it looks like it's going up 7, 10, and 13. All right, there we go. Now it's at 14 watts. So it does actually get up to that 14 watts. As you can see, it's still charging. So pretty cool that it has that wireless charging pad. And then up here you also have a handle. It's got kind of like a silicone piece, so it's super easy to take around with you. And yeah, super nice that it has that. On the sides over here, you have your vents with your fans to help keep this thing cool, you know, when it's charging different devices and things like that, or powering different devices. And then on the back over here, you have your actual other charging ports. So right here you have your AC input where you can charge it from an outlet, and then right here you also have your solar input, kind of like the one you have on the front there. The only difference about this one is this one actually has up to 400 watts of solar input, where the front one only has up to 144 watts. So you're gonna be able to charge this a lot faster if you're plugging in solar panels here in the front. It is nice that you have those two options though, and you can actually plug in a solar panel to each one, and you can get up to about 500 watts of solar input, which is super nice because if you do have both those plugged in, you'll be able to charge this thing up in about like 3 to 4 hours or so with solar panels, which is pretty quick for solar. And if you were camping, you know, that would definitely come in handy. You could go on a hike or something, or you could just be, you know, basically charging it up throughout the day, or for 3 to 4 hours during the day, and then at nighttime you'd be good to go and you'd have your power. And then as far as the AC input goes, you can input up to 800 watts of input, which is super nice, and that's gonna allow you to charge this up in about 1.5 hours. So overall, as you can see, it's got a lot of different charging ports. You're gonna be able to charge a lot of things at the same time with this thing, or just bigger items like refrigerators and stuff like that. And yeah, we're gonna actually test that out, so let's get into the test. All right, so for the first test, I just wanted to see if the fast charging mode really works, if it gets up to 800 watts of AC input. So I'm gonna plug it in right here to this back one. I have it plugged into the outlet right there. I'm gonna plug it in just because a lot of power stations, they'll say, you know, they might say they have a certain amount of input, but maybe it doesn't actually get to the same amount that it says. So I just plugged it in. It's showing that it's input now. And let's see when it turns on how much watts are being inputted here. I do have it on the fast charging mode, as you can see right here. So it should input up to about 800 watts. Right now it's only showing about 50. So let's see what happens when it goes up. All right, now it went up a little bit more. 168, 430, 702. Okay, there we go. 800 watts. Boom. All right, so it actually does work. That's pretty good. That's pretty good to know. So it does actually get up to 800 watts of input. And so right now it's already at 92%. So I'm not going to show it, you know, from 0. But that's pretty good to know, you know, 0.2 hours, get it up to 100%. So it does, you know, actually charge it in about 1.5 hours, or it should, you know, with that 800 watt input, which is pretty cool to see that it does, you know, equal that when you plug it in. All right, now for this test, I wanted to show you guys with a full size refrigerator. This is a double size refrigerator, so pretty big size fridge. And I want to show you guys, you know, see if it can actually power this. So I have the cable right here, plug it in, boom. There we go, plugged it in. Actually, I don't think the AC output is on. Let me turn it on. Boom, right here. Let me turn it on. And now we'll see what happens. The compressor is not on the refrigerator, so it's probably not gonna go up right now. But let me see here. Yep, it looks like it is going on. Initially, it's turning on to get that kick to turn on the refrigerator, but now it's down. But as you guys can see, when you open up the refrigerator, the lights are on and everything. And when I open up that refrigerator, you'll see the wattage go up as well, the output. So it goes up to about 17, 18 watts for the lights. But then when I close it, it goes down. So it is able to power the refrigerator, which is pretty awesome. But I'm gonna wait till the compressor kicks on, and then I'll update you guys on how long it says. Because right now it says up to 31.8 hours that's gonna be able to run this fridge. But that's because the compressor's not on. So I'll update you guys once the compressor turns on. All right, guys, so I waited a couple minutes, and now, as we can see, it's back on, or the compressor's on. It's using about 80 watts continuously. Right now, this is about 50% battery, and it's able to run it. It's saying right here for about 5.2 hours. So that means if it was at 100%, it should be able to run it for about 10 hours, which pretty awesome. Pretty awesome for a power station at this size, you know, 10, 11 hours, which is pretty amazing. So this definitely passed the test. Awesome that it's able to do that. And I like how everything updates in real time, you know, updates right there once you plug it in, how much power it's using. You know, it changes to 5.2 hours. And a lot of times too, because refrigerators will turn off, once the compressor's not on, it'll turn off, this number will go back up. And so it might actually be able to handle, you know, 11, 12 hours because, you know, once that refrigerator does like turn off the compressor, it should be able to go longer as well. All right, so for the next test, I pretty much always do this test with all the power stations that I test out, just because here, you know, things that have heat use a lot more power. And so we're gonna be testing out this griddle right here, and we're gonna be testing out the toaster and see how much power this can handle right here. So it's got up to 1800 watts of So it's got up to 1800 watts of output. So it should be able to handle this one no problem. I think this one uses about 1100 watts. But as you guys can see, I just plugged it in and the light is turning on. You can feel it heating up already a little bit. And right now it's using about 1,150 watts continuously. And we'll wait like a couple seconds just so you guys can see that it's able to run it. Look at that. No problem at all. It's only about 50% charged, but as you can see, it's gonna be able to run this for about a half an hour with that, which is pretty awesome. You know, if it was at 100% battery, you'd be able to charge it for about an hour or so. And so that's a lot amount of time to, you know, cook your food. If you were camping or something like that and you had a little heating device, you could totally do that, or if the power was out, which is pretty awesome. Now we're gonna test with a toaster as well. So I'm gonna put one down and we'll see. So let me see here. It should get pretty close actually to that 1800 watts. So let's see. I just did that. Now it looks like it's actually pretty interesting. It didn't go up that much. Huh. So it actually did not go up very much in wattage, which is weird because usually it'll go up to like 1500 watts or 1800 watts and it's staying at 1174. So I think that what that means, what it's doing is it's actually lowering the voltage on these. So basically they're putting out less heat, but it's able to handle it and keep it under that 1800 watt range. So pretty interesting. So with both of these, it can handle for about 0.4 hours. Let me see if I put one more down though and see what it does. It might emergency shut off. Okay, yeah. So when I did do another one though, it went over that 1800 watt range, up over the surge, and it emergency shut off. So as you can see, this shut off too, and everything shut off. So it wasn't able to handle all that power, which is actually good to know because it's, you know, that's a protection measure. So basically if it does go above that 1800 watt range, you know, it's gonna shut off. But until then, it was able to handle, you know, that and just one side because it was under that range. So pretty cool to see though, you know, pretty cool that it's able to handle that range. So pretty cool that it's able to handle that much power, especially for a power system like this for about an hour or so. And yeah, definitely passed that test. It's able to handle it, and pretty awesome for camping or if the power goes out to be able to, you know, use items like this. All right, guys, now for this next test, I want to show you guys with a 55-inch TV. You know, can this power it? How long can it power? I have it plugged in right here. Here, I'm going to turn on the AC power right here, and let's see what happens. Let me turn it on. Boom. And looks like it's turning on. Good sign. Pretty awesome. Boom, it is on. Let's see how many watts it's using. Because it's just turning on, it looks like it's using 2731 watts. All right, we got it turned on. Turn on right here. And now it looks like it's using about 65 watts. So not a ton of watts, can definitely handle this. Let's see how long though. At about 43%, so just under 50% battery, it's going to be able to power it. It looks like right now. Oh, looks like it jumped up to 70 watts now. It's going to be able to power it for about 6 hours. So, you know, if this was at 100%, it looks like it's going to be able to power it for about 12 hours, which is pretty impressive for this. You know, if you were camping and you plug in a projector is going to use less power than this most likely. And so you'd be able to watch movies while you're camping, you know, for a really long time. Or if the power went out, you could still watch TV for like 10 to 12 hours. Pretty awesome that it can do that, power station like this. All right, so I hope that can kind of help you guys see some of the features that this has, what it can do, some of the things that it can power. Overall, as far as my review goes, I think it is a pretty awesome power station. You know, I know there's other ones out there that might have a little bit greater specs, but for this, you know, price point and everything, I think this is, you know, it is a really good option. You know, it could power my refrigerator. It's good for camping because it can power those, you know, portable like cooking devices and things like that. And I like how it has this handle on the top. I like how it has a handle. It's got the wireless charging pad as well, and it's got 5, you know, 3-prong outlets, which I think is pretty awesome. The lights, you know, it's got some really cool features. You know, unfortunately, I couldn't show the solar panels being plugged into just because I don't have solar panels with me right now. But it can also charge with solar, which is pretty awesome as well. So if you guys are looking for a nice portable power station that's not super heavy or anything like that, it's still portable, but it can power a lot, you know, pretty big devices while in your house. Definitely recommend checking this out. Awesome power station in my opinion.